Here's the thing. I told myself that if I was gonna hit this record button to make this video, then I was gonna say exactly what was on my mind. Because then if I don't speak what's on my mind, then there would be no point in making this video in the first place. So I'm gonna try not to hold back and just speak with as much transparency as I possibly can. This is Not.So.Burundian here, and I'll be right back shortly after this intro. Stick around. We have some things to talk about. The first thing that I want to get out of the way is I want to address the title in the video, because that's the elephant in the room. Why did I name it The Fake Burundian? Well, here's the thing. I have been considered, I've been told, people have made it a point to let me know that I was fake all my life. Fake in the sense that I wasn't a real Burundian from day one. They would say that because I didn't speak Burundi, I didn't speak French, and I didn't have the I didn't have the mannerisms or I didn't act the typical way that a Burundian should. The biggest one being Burundi, and for the life of me, I haven't been able to hone my Burundi to be as good as as a Burundian's Kirundi is. To this day, at 34 years old, I don't think I could stand up in a family meeting and speak my mind from A to Z in Kirundi without mixing in a different language, or I don't think I'd be able to speak in Kirundi in a way that would make people laugh and make people have that deep thought in them. So yeah, that's the first thing that I wanted to get to address, is that I yep. I mean, and truth be told, I'm not a real Burundian, man. If being Burundian was a car, then I'm missing about 2 wheels, and I have no headlights. I've only got tail lights. I've got so many things about me that are incomplete for me to be considered a Burundian, which is the reason why I named the channel Not.So.Burundian. Like, I've always known, people have always made it a point to let me know that I wasn't real, and that stuck. But it's whatever though. I mean, what am I supposed to do? It's not my fault that I turned out the way that I am. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two, my lived experience in Burundi is a composition of so many things, and there is no way that I'm going to be able to address every single one of them in this video, because it's a lot of them. But let me talk about the things that affected me the most, or rather the things that I noticed the most during my time spent in Burundi all these years. And just to add some context to it, I have lived in Burundi for a little over 8 years now, and it's not 8 years consecutively. It's just 6 years here, 2 years here, and now 10 months. So put that all together, it's roughly about 8 years and some months, almost 9 years. I first landed in Burundi in 2004. With the whole family, we spent about 30 days. That's the first time ever we came to Burundi since 1994. 1994 was the year that I left Burundi, and I must have been like 2 years old at the time, or 1.5, I think. We came back in 2004. I suppose we were scouting the environment, deciding as to whether we should be formally making that return to Burundi, of which we did in 2006. 2006 is when we officially repatriated back into Burundi. Though I suppose repatriating wouldn't be the right word, because then that would suggest that we had a different nationality elsewhere, of which we didn't. We were illegal immigrants in Tanzania at the time, so we didn't repatriate, we just came back. So what's been my experience ever since then? I'm just gonna have to be honest. My experience in Burundi begins in secondary school. When we first landed, my sister and I attended a secondary school in Bujumbura, this city. It was the only English-speaking school at the time. And let me just put it this way. Burundi has a problem with ethnic division. What I mean by that is just basically, actually, well, this is not a secret. I can just talk about it. It's not a secret. The whole world knows what happened in Burundi and what's going on. There's an ethnic divide between the Hutu and the Tutsis and the Batwa, although the Batwa are not really considered to be of major consequence because it's not that many of them. So we're left with the two major ethnic groups, which is the Hutu and the Tutsi. And this is probably the only time that I'm going to talk about this, that I'm going to mention these ethnic names, because it's not something that I'm comfortable with, especially having grown up in Tanzania, where if we talk about ethnicity or if we talk about tribes, we do it in a manner that is innocent. Wachaga tribe love money, Wapare have issues with anger, have anger issues, stuff like that. Yeah, light stuff that doesn't really result to hate people, hating on each other. So straight off the bat, when I landed in Burundi, I think for the first time ever, it came to my realization that I was different as a human being. There's the obvious difference between a white person and a black person, an Asian and a black person, and that sort of thing. But two black people looking at each other and going, "You're different from me, you're that, I'm this." I think it happened the first time when I landed in Burundi. I had no such concept in my mind that that was a thing. And my parents had made it a point to not tell us anything about Burundi when we were living in Tanzania, because they needed us to believe that we were Tanzanian so that we wouldn't accidentally spill out the beans, because we were just kids and we were illegal at the time in Tanzania. If anything, we should have been living in a camp, in a refugee camp. But they did what they did, and we were able to live in the business capital, Dar es Salaam, for about 11 years, and that's besides the point. But they didn't tell us anything until 2004, when they were first making plans of coming back. And so it came as a shock to me and my sister that we weren't who we thought we were. And so everything hit me like a brick in my face. So yeah, the ethnic divide in Burundi is the one thing that I consider to be the bitter part of my bittersweet experience in Burundi. And I don't know, I am recalling from things that happened back in 2006 all the way to 2011 and 12. After that, I have almost zero to none negative experiences in Burundi, because I checked out of the social scene since 2012. I have been an anti-social person when it comes to Burundi. And by that, I mean, if you are not a Burundian that left Burundi when you were young and came back much, much later, chances are that we're not going to be friends, because I don't trust your programming. If you are a Burundian that was not born outside of Burundi and came back years later as a teen, chances are I don't trust your programming either, because I'll just automatically assume that you are onto some BS, and I'll just keep you at bay. And so if you're anything like me, especially those of you that haven't been to Burundi for a very long time, or those of you that were born outside of Burundi and are looking forward to coming back for whatever reason, I don't want to make this video to be the reason that you take a negative stance towards you're looking forward to come back to Burundi. No, I don't want that to happen. But I'm just giving my lived experience so that you know what Burundi is like as a whole. Hold on a second, I have a customer coming. I'll be right back. So yeah, I was saying, I checked out of the social scene back in 2011, and I haven't been the same since then. And I checked out of it because of the different experiences that I had when I was in secondary school. I was the kind of person that laughed with everyone. I wasn't shy to mingle and mix in with people until I realized that not everybody had the same energy with me because of who I was and who they were, But when it hit me that some people didn't want to be friends with me because I was this person or came from this ethnic group. And there's people that made remarks at the back when they thought that I wasn't hearing, but I could hear them, and stuff that I heard from other people. I just decided to just check out of the social scene as a whole, just to protect my sanity and to stay away from the BS. After that, I only made friends with foreigners and people who I knew had an extensive history of not living in Burundi. So but things are changing for the for the best. Things are changing for the better, and we are becoming better as time goes on. So I believe that someday that's not going to be an issue anymore, especially when you have people like me that don't understand or have no concept of what being Hutu and being Tutsi is. I suppose it starts with me and the offsprings that come from me. So yeah, one of the bitter part about my experience in Burundi is the ethnic divide in Burundi. And I'm only saying this right now because I suppose I shouldn't be the one complaining, because I come from the ethnic group that is currently in power, so to speak. And so, if anything, I shouldn't be complaining, because we have the power, if I may say so. But thing is, I wasn't the kind of person that saw I didn't see it in that way at the time. It was even now, I was just a kid that wanted to mingle in with other kids and have fun. And when I realized that that wasn't possible because of who I was, then it was like, weird. But yeah, that's one of the bitter parts. And the other bitter part of about my lived experience in Burundi is that when we first landed, which is 2006, and I got to live in Burundi consecutively for the next 6 or 5 years of secondary school, I wasn't able to hone my talents at the time because I didn't have access to the things that I needed to be able to further my talents. Just okay, a simple example. I developed a keen interest in art. At some point, my preferred medium at the time was graphite and charcoal, something that you couldn't find anywhere in Burundi. And when I say graphite, I mean quality graphite, from 2H, from 4H all the way to 12B, and really dark charcoal pencils, or even any. It's something that you couldn't find in Burundi at the time if you were an artist. And quality paper, that's just one of the things that you couldn't come across at all. In a different time, I also developed a liking to building stuff. Like I would pick scrap of RC cars, toys, and try to build different things together. I remember at the time I really wanted to build a plane, like just a small model plane that could take off, if anything. But I didn't have access to the internet at the time. I didn't have access to the tools that I needed to be able to build these things. I didn't have access to the supplies that I needed to make it happen, because it wasn't something that you could just go out into town and buy. It just wasn't available. And that's true to this day, especially for most kids like me that somewhat belong to the spectrum, if I may say. I don't think we belong to this. I don't belong to the spectrum. It's just kids that are nerds, kids that like to do things differently. We don't go outside to have fun. What we do when it comes to solo type of thing, like sports and whatever. Other than that, we're not social birds. We like to create and invent and do stuff. It's really hard to come by supplies when you need to do something. But it's different today, though. I wouldn't compare it to then when I was coming up. Other than that, Burundi is. There are some good parts about Burundi, in the sense that Burundi is virgin to businesses. Burundi is virgin to a lot of the ventures that you could think of. We just recently opened up to the world, and so if you have a little bit of cash to you, if you have a little bit of money, if you have an idea, it doesn't even have to be something new. It's just something that you can copy paste from somewhere else and bring it here, it would take off, because it's either you'd be the first person doing it or one of two. Yeah, it's just basically those two. You'd either be the first or one of very few. So there is a lot of potential for business and inventions in Burundi. That's the good side. Though if the ethnic if the ethnic aspect of the Burundian society doesn't change, then we're always gonna find ourselves moving backwards every time we try to take a step forward. Other than that, if you've never been to Burundi and are about to come to Burundi, there's things to look out for. Like, I don't want to have to say this, but you need to know about the society that you're walking into, even though you are Burundian. You need to know that there is an ethnic divide. You need to know that not everyone will be your friend. And even those that do present themselves as friends will most likely have an ulterior motive to their approach. That and the fact that you need to watch out for something that we call Ishano. Ishano is basically, I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's poison or witchcraft. I suppose it's somewhere in between. I have various stories of people my age, and even people younger, that died from a supposed Ishano attack, poison or witchcraft, or whatever it is you choose to call it. And this does not affect foreigners, by the way. If you're a foreigner, you will have a good time in Burundi. No one's ever going to bother you for anything. It's Burundian against Burundian. That's where the problem is. That's actually another reason why I checked out of the social circle, because it's just too much to deal with. I don't want to have to live my life thinking about leaving my drink unattended, or thinking about just missing a second of having my plate of food in my sight, and having to worry about somebody sprinkling something on my food or my drink or whatever. Like, that's just too much for me to handle. I checked out because of that too. But other than that, I'm currently living in Burundi. I'm surviving on my rental units that I'm currently renting out, and this little business that I'm currently running. I'm comfortable. I'm not complaining at all. But I guess I am complaining because it's not easy to come by the Burundian franc. I believe the Burundian franc is one of the hardest currencies to come by and maintain. Even if you do make it, keeping it in your pocket is not easy. You spend it almost as fast as you make it. This video was not at all scripted for me. These are just random things that I needed to talk about, my experience living in Burundi. But if there's anything specific that you want to talk about in the next video, just leave your comment in the comment section and I will address it in my next video. If I get enough comments, like about 20 different topics that you guys want me to talk about, then I will definitely make a part 2. And forgive my wandering eye. I'm making this video in my place of business, and so I'm always looking outside to see if a customer is about to come in. Because if a customer is about to walk in, then I have to, just leave the scene and attend to them. Not.So.Burundian here. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If anything, if any one of you have had similar lived experiences in Burundi, though I've only mentioned about one significant one, which is the ethnic divide, please let me know in the comment section how it is that you experienced that aspect of the Burundian society. Me, the only reason why I couldn't deeply go into it is because these are memories from like 10, 15 years ago. And so I remember how it felt. I just don't remember the exact incidences and the exact, I don't remember the moments. I do remember the moments. I just cannot find the words to describe them right now. And I don't want to be biased or say the wrong thing in that sense. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys would like me to talk about in the next video. I'm probably not even going to post this video, man. It's all right. Peace out.